Hey everyone, good morning. My stance for the virtual debate is that the Trump administration did address the coronavirus outbreak in an efficient manner to meet national security concerns. Um, I think we should start off by saying it's probably easy to look back and judge the administration's handling of the of COVID-19 with the information that we know now. I think originally, with it being such a new disease and new virus, I'm sure it was a difficult job to figure out how quickly this virus spread, how deadly it was, who is most infected, um, who is most susceptible. And I think going off this debate, we should take it as we are learning about the information just as quickly as they were. Um, but to start off, I wanted to talk about the initial Chinese travel ban, which Trump likes to talk about quite a bit, announced on January 31st, which was pretty early on, and I was surprised honestly when it happened, but it banned non-U.S. citizens from entering the United States from the region. And critics like to talk about how it was more of a sieve than a wall or a blockade, and that you can debate whether that Chinese travel ban was effective or not. But I think the important part to think about is that actions were taken early on, earlier than I imagined, and earlier with the amount of information he had. February 29th, that ban was extended to Iran, and then in March, it was extended to around 26, I believe, nations in the European Union. And all this was just to help control the spread. The next topic I wanted to discuss was the COVID task force, which was created on January 29th also. Headed by the vice president, obviously. Department of Health and Human Services was in on that. Scientists were in on that. But I believe they met daily for months to discuss the best courses of action to take with the information that they had. And I was also impressed with how often they were updating the American people through news broadcasts and accepting questions. And along those lines, the Centers for Disease Control also had lots and lots of press conferences where people from all around the world could call in and ask the questions that they had. Operation Warp Speed, which the president has headed, has ensured that these vaccine trials are happening in record time, whether you believe that's a positive or a negative, going with the FDA guidelines. This has happened faster than any other vaccine trial to date, and there's also been investments in multiple vaccine trials, so not only one that they're pinning all their hopes on, but I believe it's 5 or 6 different trials going on, not including the therapeutics that are being tested and hopefully it'll work for everyone. Going back to imagining yourself receiving the information as the Trump administration was receiving it about the new virus. The economy was in great shape before this COVID outbreak occurred, and taking into account the knowledge of shutting down the economy without knowing actually how infectious or deadly this disease would be. I think it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh, you should have done it a lot sooner, but there's a lot of things you have to take into account. I'm sure I can't even imagine as president, but the last thing I wanted to discuss was nowhere in the U.S. did the medical system collapse. We saw in Italy where it did collapse partially, but even in New York where it got really terrible, the Defense Production Act was put into place. There was a big fuss about ventilator shortages. That was taken care of. So I think the Trump administration has done a good job. I wouldn't say perfect, with hindsight, with all the information we have now, I think it probably could have been handled better. But honestly, I think it was a pretty good handling of it in general.